This is Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. It's a half hour worth of local chat, people making a difference in the community. And it's our first anniversary,
It
Katie.
is happy anniversary and happy new year.
We did our very first show on the first Saturday of 2020.
Can you
and
believe
here
it?
we are on the first Saturday of 2021, and they haven't pulled us off the air yet. So that's wonderful.
Oh my gosh. We're still rolling.
Big thank you to our sponsor, Independent Bank. We thank Independent Bank for making this possible. And Katie, who do we have on the airwaves today?
Okay. Let me just tell you, happy 2021, and 3 words that make Katie so happy. Chico's Taco House. Okay. On my way home from my office, it is a favorite stop, let me tell you. So we have with us the owner of Chico's, Kevin Dewey. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi.
And there's so many things that he's doing. So I was talking to him a little bit about the show, and I said, you've made lemonade from lemons. And instead of sucking his thumb and getting upset about what's happened in the state of Michigan and with the pandemic, he just changed lanes. And the restaurant the interior's been redone. And I'm going to let Kevin tell us about this, but he's just done some incredible things when a lot of us just kind of didn't know what to do. Kevin knew exactly what to do. So Kevin, tell us a little bit about your vision with the restaurant and what you've been up to.
Hey, Katie, you're right. You hit it right on the spot. We did make, when we were putting all this together, it is kind of lemonade out of lemons. We went through, and my wife and I, we sat back and we said, okay, what are we going to do? They're shutting us down. Do we just close up and, kind of, take the time off,
Right.
And we said, we can't do that. We got, just like everybody else, we have bills and stuff to go and pay and all that stuff. And so we decided to, tough it out, and we're going to do it. We're going to see what we can do. And, with the community's help, it was very good. We had a positive turnout so far. And, things that we've done, like you said, we remodeled the inside, put a fresh coat of paint in, we put new flooring in. We also, when we actually got shut down, we ended up putting an online ordering system in. And with all the other restaurants closed, it funneled more people over to us, which
Sure.
Then we were just doing the old, we've been in business for 39 years, so we've just been writing them down on hand tickets.
Wow.
And we said, we got to do something different. So let's put an online ordering system, because one thing that we found was people want convenience and
Right.
quick.
Yes.
And we were always kind of like that old school, that, paper, pencil, bring it out back. And we said, okay, let's do some digital stuff and let's go online. So we worked with somebody and we set up an online ordering system, and that just took right off.
Sure.
And so we just had online ordering. That's it. And then we said, after that, we said, what else are we going to do? And we said, we can't have people inside, but we got this great takeout, and we had this property in the back, that had a big pit back there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's fill it in and put a patio back there. So we put a patio back there, and it holds about 30 people. And then we have sunshades in the summer when it gets hot and stuff. And that just filled up. So people would come up to our window and order our stuff, or order online. They'd go out back and sit in the shade, and and it turned out really nice.
Thank you for doing that. You're giving us options and choices.
It is interesting,
Yeah.
Kevin, really. I mean, if you talk to 20 different restaurants, you're going to have 20 different reactions as to what goes on. Some decided it just didn't make sense for them to stay open. Others stayed open just to try and, keep their employees, or some of their employees, on.
Yes.
Is it just you and your wife working, Kevin? Do you have anybody else that you've been able to keep?
We have a staff of 7 people.
Okay.
So right at the beginning, we ended up, we all shut down, and then we had three people working, and then we were able to start bringing them back, as we ended up getting some assistance, and then so we have a full staff back, and I'm going strong right now.
That's wonderful.
So,
It's just, we need this good news. We really need this good news. You're just a breath of fresh air. The food trucks. Tell us about your food trucks. How does that work?
Yeah, so the food truck, so one of the things, too, is, as we were still shut down, we said we need more. We were still losing sales because we didn't have our dining in, so we needed more. So we said, what could we do? And I said, we bought another truck, a food truck, because in the summertime, nobody wanted all the events were canceled. All the weddings and the events, the little events that we went to during the summer with the food truck.
Mm-hmm.
But then we turned
carnivals
around
and festivals.
the carnivals and stuff like that. Yeah, the festivals and stuff. So, but everybody started calling us for graduation parties.
Sure.
And because they didn't want contact.
Yes.
So we prepackaged everything. We prepackaged the salsas and the chips and all that stuff. So we were starting to get calls. So the food truck really took off. I would probably say was up from previous years because everybody wanted the food truck for no contact.
Excellent.
So in a way, with that truck and the patio that you had, you were maybe uniquely in a way more equipped to survive and thrive in the pandemic era maybe than others.
Yes.
Yeah, and every business has to look at their own. And I think we always had a strong takeout business
yes.
to begin with, and I think that's what's helped too.
Sure, people knew you that way.
If you've been to our place, there's not a lot of seating in there.
Right.
So a lot of people came up and they knew what the food was and the takeout and stuff, and so I think that helped us too. So we just have to capitalize on our takeout and give them a place to sit, and then the food truck, that came along because nobody wanted to have the buffet type style where they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting because when life is completely out of your control, as it has been for us for the last 9.5 months, it's reassuring and comforting to go back to what you know.
Absolutely.
And Chico's Taco House is what people know. It's comfort food.
Yes.
And good Lord knows we all need comfort right now.
We do. We do. So, Kevin, who does the cooking?
My wife and myself, and then we have a couple other cooks in there.
Okay.
But mainly my wife does.
Okay. So if I have a craving, and I'm stressed out and I it's the chips. We got to hear what it's the chips and the salsa. I mean, are those hand done by you folks?
Those are hand done. Yep.
See,
so every day we go in there and we cut, stacks of tortillas. We quarter them up, round shell, cut them in fours, and then we deep fry them, and then we season them and bag them up.
Whoa.
Every day.
And the sweet salsa. I could drink it. I could drink it.
I could swim in it. It's that good. So, Kevin, you, in the middle of this too, you launch a breakfast menu. I never thought, I have lived in Cadillac for a long time. I never envisioned that you could go get gourmet Mexican breakfast food. So what was the catalyst for that? And can you tell us a little bit about that breakfast menu?
Yeah, so a couple of things were going on. One, we really want to, as the second shutdown came through, now we're past through summer, we're into the fall and stuff. We really want to keep our employees through the Christmas season and stuff like that is because we knew it was going to be harder this time around because there was no stimulus checks and none of that stuff going on, and plus it was Christmas time. So we really wanted to keep all the employees, and we said, we have another truck, and at the time the employees didn't even know we had a second truck. It was sitting in the yard, and we were going to put it online this summer. And I said, we have another truck. Let's bring the truck over to the restaurant. We'll put a banner on it, and we'll sell breakfast out of it.
Awesome.
And I said, one of you guys want to work with me in the morning? We'll sell breakfast. And we started at 7 to 11.
Wow.
And then as soon as we get done at 11, we walk inside, and then we serve our regular lunch menu and dinner menu out of that. But the purpose of that was when you go through all the McDonald's and Burger Kings and all these other restaurants, the drive-thrus are just so long.
They are
and
crazy long.
I said, I want a piece of that. I don't want it all.
I like it.
I want a piece of that.
Good for you.
And and it just so, and that's what it was. So we said, let's get a piece of that, but we have to make it fast, and we have to make it a drive-through.
I
so
see.
We set the truck up in the
okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
So we set the truck up in the driveway. We have cones out there in the morning, and people just drive right up, drive through, and we serve them right out of the window. They place their order, and go from there.
You know what? I hadn't thought of that, Kevin, but it's true. People are in a different mindset when they come to you in the morning because odds are they're going to work and they're, and they've got a place to go. It's not a leisurely lunch or a relaxing dinner. They've got a full day ahead.
Right. And they want something fast. They want something easy, quick, not messy.
Right. So what are our choices?
Yep. So we have a breakfast taco or we have a breakfast burrito. or sometimes we do quesadillas, breakfast quesadillas, or we do tamales too.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
We change it up every once in a while.
And are you serving coffee and stuff too?
We tried the coffee, but it really didn't sell. You know, we have a couple beverages like Coke and juices and stuff, but the coffees and juices and stuff really aren't. I think it's because people grab their cups from the house,
sure,
and they go.
Yeah,
and they just want some meal or something like that.
Little food in their bellies, yes.
But you just gotta, you know, what I've been trying to do is trying to think ahead, and you know, what can we do? What do people want? And you learn a lot from, you know, at least I do from the other companies.
Absolutely,
you know, the ones that are doing it right.
Well, and you're anticipating. You know, and
right.
You're right. I look at those drive-through lines and I just think, who has 20 minutes to sit and, you know, waiting on something like this?
Especially when your lunch hour is only a half hour.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But we go.
And so that's the breakfast side of it. So then we said at 11 o'clock, it's too hard to switch over from a breakfast in a taco truck or a breakfast meal over to a lunch meal. So then we said, let's see if we can go to the other side of town by Qdoba's and, you know, in Taco Bell and stuff. So we set up the regular truck, the red truck, across from in ProBuild's parking lot. They were very generous and let us park over there.
Awesome.
So we set up a drive-through there, and we started doing that 2 weeks ago.
How's that going?
Oh my goodness, just taking right off.
And the reason why,
so many compliments.
Well, and the reason why, Kevin, I'm sure the reason why is because you are right where you're located. You're in the middle of drive-through central, and every one of those restaurants have at least 10 cars in line.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we have two people in there. So, you know, could we do it with one? Yes. But once again, people want fast, and people want quick, you know, fast, quick, you know, and good food and stuff, and move right through. They don't want to sit there and wait. You know, people don't want to wait.
No, they sure don't.
So,
and the other, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, so we have two people in the truck, and we you know, they drive right up, and like I said, we have cones out there with an arrow, and it's a drive-through. They don't get out of their car, and we just hand it right through the window.
Wow. Now, have these folks ordered online as well?
No, so those you can't order online. So we have a limited menu in the truck.
Okay.
For lunches. So to keep it simple.
We
don't do the wet burritos. We have 2 tacos.
Okay.
Beef or chicken, hard shell or soft shell, or we have a dry burrito, beef or chicken, and then you get a bag of chips and salsa for $5.
What? Really? The whole thing's $5?
$5. Yep.
Okay. Now that this is going to go crazy now that everybody knows about this, because you can't get a really nice lunch for $5. You can't.
Right. And that's what we said. That's why we went into it. We said, you know, if we're going to compete right across from Qdoba's and Taco Boy and, you know, all these other places, you know, we got to go in there. And that's why we chose not to go with wet burritos. And we've had a couple people that say, do you have quesadillas? Do you have wet burritos? And we're like, no, this is just a quick, you know, piece of pie. Not the whole pie. I just want a piece of it.
Well, we're going to be back in just a minute to talk some more with Kevin Dewey, who's the owner of Chico's Taco House, about the amazing transformation of the restaurant and the positive side, the positive things that he's done during a hard time.
I know there's a history as well, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about the backstory of Chico's Taco House, too. Can you provide that for us in a bit here, Kevin?
I sure can. Yeah.
All right. We will be back with part 2 of Cadillac Unscripted, sponsored by Independent Bank, in just a moment on 107.9 CDY. This is Cadillac Unscripted, segment 2 on 107.9 CDY, our first anniversary show with Katy Huckle and myself. And we're very pleased to be joined by Kevin Dewey from Chico's Taco House in Cadillac, a place that many people have enjoyed great Mexican food over the years. And we talked in the first segment about how Chico's had to adapt, like many other restaurants during this time.
Lane change,
Lane change, big time. And I know you had a few questions teed up, Katy, and I've got a couple myself for Kevin, but go ahead.
Well, I want to know, first of all, what's your favorite thing on the menu? Kevin, that's important.
Okay. I'd say mine is probably the quesadillas.
Okay. I know what to order.
I love the quesadillas, and, you know, they're grilled quesadillas, the chicken and the steak. probably both of those are probably my best.
That's what we're having next, Rich.
Have you ever gone to a place, Katie, where the first thing that you had was so good you were afraid to try something else?
Well, I have the fried cauliflower and the wet burrito every single time at Chico's with the pico de gallo because I'm in a rut, Rich. I'm in a rut with it.
I gotcha. Well, and for me, it's just the hard shell tacos with that fresh shredded cheese, and it's good stuff.
Would you like a little taco with your salsa, Rich?
And the chips and the sweet salsa are amazing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
And that's another thing, Rich. We make those taco shells fresh every day. Those are homemade taco shells.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you can taste it. You can taste the love.
So my second question, looking back, because I know you've had another career too, Kevin, if someone would say to you, maybe you want to get into the restaurant business. Okay. If you could go back in time, would you still do it?
I would definitely still do it.
Awesome.
Yep. I always wanted to have my own business, my own little business. And, granted, my father-in-law left, a great trail, great customer
Legacy,
base and
yes.
quality food and stuff. So, had a great start, of course, and we're going to keep it going. That's why we chose to keep it up and keep it running. And, it's been in business since 1982, 39 years now.
Amazing.
So.
It's so inspiring, isn't it, Rich, when you see that generational handoff and it gets better, Right. I mean, that is a tribute to you and your wife, Kevin, that we've got something great. Now let's take it to the next level.
Have you ever thought, Kevin, of having a larger area? There's something that's very charming about the small space that you have there. Is it charming enough to want to keep it that way, or did you ever think about having a larger space?
We talked about larger, expanding and stuff like that, but there's something about the smaller ones and being a seasonal area over on the west side.
Right.
I'm not sure if you'd get your return on it and stuff like that. Maybe a secondary location or something like that.
There you go.
Maybe not not in this town, but maybe in another town.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, Kevin, let me ask you about portions because I chuckle. I mean, your small feels like large.
I chuckle too.
Well, this is, I probably shouldn't admit this on the air. Yeah. But my business partner and I had, this Chico's hankering last week. And so I get online and I'm like a child in a candy store. I mean, I'm getting one of this and one of this and one of this. And I mean, it was only lunch for two people. Okay. So Kevin, of course, meets me at the thing, and it is 2 huge bags of Mexican food for Cindy and I, and chips and salsa. And I'd racked my bill up to $62, Rich, because there were so many burritos but it had been a minute. Since we'd ordered from Chico's. And so, you get excited. I will try a little of this and try. So thank goodness her college boy rolled in and we packed him up and made his day. Cause you know what? He was homesick for Chico's too. So that's my funny story.
So it sounds that's
my father-in-law right there. He started it with great portion. Huge portions.
Yes.
If you left there hungry, there was something wrong.
Well, there's always a lot of workers and men and, they want to get fed in the restaurant. I love walking in there and seeing such a unique mix of business people and people that are working on the line. And you really do have a fan base that's extensive.
Yeah.
So you touched on this before, Kevin, but your father-in-law, obviously the big influence. This is a great time to go back and give the Chico's Taco House history.
Okay. Yeah, it started back in 1982, and they actually had it used to be a small little cheese and wine shop, and it closed up. And then my father-in-law was driving by one day, and he seen the building there, and he ended up looking into it and, bought the building, and him and his wife ended up starting the business. It's pretty simple, old, hey, let's start a business, and that's what they did, he worked a few other restaurants, in Grand Rapids and stuff like that, but yeah, he found the building up here and lived in Baldwin, and drove through Cadillac one day and found the building and opened it up.
The rest is history. And so
where
did he learn to cook?
From his mother and father, and brothers and sisters. I think he's one of 16. Yeah.
Oh,
so very large family.
Whoa, 16 kids, Rich. That's
So-
a lot of tacos.
And that's a lot of people to cook for.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
maybe that's where the portion control comes for the portion because he's cooking so much food,
Yeah.
Wow. Future plans. I mean, you've
Future
done so
plans.
much, but what's on the docket?
Oh, there's more to come. More to
Really?
come. Yeah. So one thing that we learned too through this is, if you've been in Chico's on a Friday night or a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or on the weekend and stuff, it's been always busy and packed inside, right? And so one thing that we learned through this being shut down and limited capacity inside too is we like the seats spaced apart a little bit more.
Okay.
It was always crowded in there before. And
Sure.
so what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple more tables in there, but we're going to actually add some tables on the outside in the front. We're actually going to put a deck on next summer in the spring.
Awesome.
So we're going to put a little deck on. It's not going to be real big, but we have to remodel our deck out there anyway. So we said, let's put a porch on there
You bet.
and have some outside seating there.
Great.
And then with our takeout, we have a takeout window kind of using our front door right now, and we're going to move that to our main entrance, right off from our main entrance. That way, when people come in for their takeout, they don't have to actually come in the building
Sure.
and disrupt the customers that are inside eating. They can just come up to the window and grab their food from the takeout window.
Okay.
So we
now,
like that option.
I really
too.
like it too. I guess now that you say that, because it is a limited space in there, I do remember folks coming in and kind of scooching around you and stopping to grab a 2-liter. And you're
and
right.
the waiters and waitresses would have their food to trays and kind of getting around. And
Sure.
it was cramped. We were trying to get as many as we could in there, but it's not a good atmosphere. We didn't think.
What I'm hearing here is this is an opportunity. You've taken this opportunity to kind of reassess what your service level is, and at a time when other restaurants really might not have the resources to do it, the takeout business has been able to sustain you and allow you to make these improvements in 2021.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Kevin,
that is true. Yeah.
a question, pre-pandemic, what, and I won't pin you down on hard numbers here, but just give me an estimate. How much of the business was dine-in and how much of the business was takeout?
It was always hard because we never had a POS system before.
Okay.
So everything was hand, kind of old school.
Sure.
I would say prior it was probably 50%, 60% dine-in, and then the rest was takeout.
Okay. Wow, that's a huge amount of takeout, isn't it?
Yeah.
You want to know why?
Say,
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say 40% takeout and 60%.
Yeah. And the other thing I was thinking is, you don't want to, because of the small space there, you don't want to have your whole family walk in and stand at the back door and wait for a table and stare at other people as they finish the dinner. And so
Right.
I think that contributed to the amount of takeout too. I want Chico's, but they could be, what if they're really busy? So I'll just get takeout. See, so I think your takeout business is going to continue to thrive. And then once you add this porch and your back patio and stuff, I sky's the limit for you guys. I think you're taking off.
That's where the patio's coming in right now. I mean, you hit it exactly, Katie. I mean, people come in and they say, "Oh, we got a table of 6. Oh, it's hard. Oh, can we go outside, or a table of 8?" And they're sliding tables together. Now they just go right out to the patio. That's what they were doing in the summer. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just going to keep growing that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to tell you a funny story. It was a Christmas party, and all the ladies were all dressed up, and my girlfriend's husband wasn't there, and so I said to her, "Well, where is Stanley? Let's call him." And she said, he had a really, really rough week at work, and he said, "I'm so sorry, I'm not going to the Christmas party. I'm going to sit home in my sweatpants and stop at Chico's, and I'm going to watch Christmas movies because that's what I want to do." And I just howled. I thought, That's where I want to be right now too. Is in my sweatpants eating food from Chico's.
The ultimate comfort food, right?
Totally. So I thought that was so funny because he'd called her from the office and said, "I know you think we're both attending a Christmas party, but I need a break, and this is what my break's going to look like." And she said he was happily crunching away at the dinner table in his sweatpants when I left in my cocktail dress.
The one thing that still amazes me is how many people travel from out of town.
Really?
Oh yeah. Detroit, Ann Arbor, up in the UP. There's people coming all over the place, and I've met a lot of people. And that's one thing my wife says. She goes, "You got to get back in the kitchen. You talk too much out there, but there's so many people that you meet,
right?
Out in the dining room and talking to different people. And, it's just funny where they come from, and it's, yeah, every time we drive through, we got to stop here, and so it's kind of cool.
It sure is. The other thing is the affordability. I think you've done a nice job of keeping the menu within reach for so many people. Nobody, I don't care how much money you have, nobody wants to drop $75 a person on dinner on a Wednesday night. And I think that you can feed your family in a very reasonably,
Yeah.
I would think also, Kevin, you see familiar faces during the winter, folks from out of town who are coming through on snowmobiles. Would that be accurate?
Yep. And I'd say right now with the skiers, so we have a good location because the trailhead's there, for the snowmobilers. We got the skiers there.
Folks on their way out to Cabernet, right?
Yeah. And then we have the ice fishing. We have the 2 lakes right there. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Lots of tourism. And you mentioned graduations, Kevin, and I chuckled because, sometimes these graduation parties, it gets to be these, everybody wants theirs to be the nicest or the best food or whatever. And I can remember sitting around and in my kitchen and listening to some kids talk. And this one was going to do an ice cream buffet. And she was going to have 15 different toppings for Sundays, and this one's dad was going to grill steaks. And then another boy piped up and he said, "Well, hold on. I'm having Chico's Taco House." And it was like, mic drop.
Yep. Everybody says, "Oh, that's what I should have done."
Yeah, you say that. And my son graduated last year from down in Grand Rapids, and it was a funny thing about it. We were doing all these graduation parties. We had them all booked up, and he wanted the taco truck too.
Sure, he did.
And he wanted a truck. I'm like, okay. So we had 3 events, and then I had to drive the truck down to Grand Rapids. But the night before, everybody was saying, too bad we just didn't rent a restaurant out or something down there. So that's what we ended up doing. We talked to them and said, "Hey, do you mind if we just rent because one of our friends has a restaurant in Grand Rapids."
Oh, sure.
And they're struggling down there. And I said, "Why don't we just rent the room out?" And so that's what we did. And it was a relief. I know with these people because I had 2 other boys that graduated, and you're prepping all the food and all that stuff. And
stress.
Now all the stress, and you just roll up with a taco truck and boom, done.
Well, and I heard from some golfers that you catered the Cadillac Country Club member guest event last year, and there were a lot of smiling faces when that truck rolled in, Rich. Let me tell you.
Well, we had smiling faces at my son's graduation in June, too, because we had Chico's Taco House
did we?
cater our sons. Yes.
Well, okay, let's hear it. What was it?
It was the taco bar.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And the chips.
It was soft shell because, hard shell tacos don't necessarily have a long shelf life. Mm-hmm. You gotta eat them pretty quick. So.
Yep.
Well, Kevin, this is interesting. I made a post on Facebook about a month ago that absolutely went nuts. It went viral, and the gist of the post was, while you're driving around the north side of Cadillac and you're seeing cars 10 to 15 deep, make a phone call to your locally owned restaurant, because chances are the owner of the restaurant is going to take your order, and when you stop in and pick it up, that owner is going to express their gratitude for your order. And that has happened every time.
So true.
Yep.
So true. And, I had a guy come through the taco truck today when we were out there at the Pro Build. And he said, he says, "I don't know why more people don't do this." He says, "All you have to do is call up your local restaurant, and like you said, they will take the order. They'll bring it right out to you, and they'll do it fast. It's no different than waiting in a line for 20 minutes.
Right.
You could be through that local restaurant in probably 10.
Plus, you're making an impact locally on a locally owned business. The big name places are going to survive. They're going to be fine.
Right.
So it's time to put our money where our mouth is and support the local folks.
100%, Rich.
It's convenience, and
Yep.
and unfortunately, people want convenience. So you got to those other businesses too, just like me. We got to put our numbers out there, make it convenience for them. And we do a lot on social media, and it does help.
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you so much for the improvements that you've made, for bringing us delicious food to Cadillac, and we just really appreciate the positive energy that you're throwing out there.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Pleasure to have Kevin Dewey from Chico's Taco House on with us today on our first anniversary show of Cadillac Unscripted. Katie, that Facebook page is coming.
All right.
We're going to talk about it as soon as it goes live.
Can't wait.
And we'll have links to all of our shows that we've done,
Yes.
including this one today.
That's right.
And a big thank you to Independent Bank for being the sponsor of the program. If anybody else wants to sponsor Cadillac Unscripted, come find us. We'd love to have you.
And we can't wait to hear from everybody on what guests they're interested in hearing from in 2021. Happy New Year, everybody.